Alright, Modern Automotive Technology by James E. Duffy. Chapter 3, Basic Hand Tools. Objectives of this chapter. After studying this chapter, you will be able to identify common automotive hand tools, list safety rules for hand tools, select the right tool for a given job, maintain and store tools properly, use hand tools safely, explain why insulated tools must be used when servicing electric drivetrains, correctly answer ASE certification test questions referring to hand tools. Technical terms: adjustable wrench, Allen wrench, ball peen hammer, breaker bar, C-clamp, chisel, dead blow hammer, extension, file, flex bar, hacksaw, pickup tool, pliers, pry bar, punch, ratchet handle, rubber mallet, scratch awl, scuff pad, socket, socket handle, universal joint tool, vise, vice cap, wrench. Professional auto technicians invest thousands of dollars on their tools for good reason. It is almost impossible to do even the simplest auto repair without using some type of tool. Tools serve as extensions to parts of the human body. Tools increase the physical abilities of your fingers, hands, arms, legs, eyes, ears, and back. A well-selected set of tools speeds up repairs, improves work quality, increases profits, and makes mechanical repair work easier and more enjoyable. Tech tip: it is very frustrating to work on a vehicle without the right tools. It can be like trying to fight a forest fire with a squirt gun. Impossible. Invest in a complete set of tools. Tool rules. There are several basic tool rules that should be remembered. Purchase quality tools. With tools, you usually get what you pay for. Quality tools are lighter, stronger, easier to use, and more dependable than off-brand bargain tools. Many manufacturers of quality tools provide lifetime guarantees. Keep tools organized. An experienced technician will have hundreds of different tools. For the tools to be located quickly, they should be neatly arranged. When tools are thrown into the toolbox, time and effort are wasted digging and searching for a buried tool instead of fixing the vehicle. Keep tools clean. Wipe tools clean and dry after each use. A greasy or oily tool can be dangerous. It is very easy to lose a grip on a dirty tool, cutting or breaking a finger or a hand. Use the right tool for the job. Even though several different tools may be used to loosen a bolt, usually one will do a better job. It may be faster, grip the bolt better, be less likely to break, or require less physical effort. A good technician knows when, where, and why a particular tool will work better than another tool. Keep this in mind as you study automotive tools. Tech tip: the time spent maintaining your tools and toolbox is time well spent. Well-organized tools will save time on each job and help you get more work done. Unorganized or poorly maintained tools will hurt your on-the-job performance and appearance as a professional technician. Tool storage. A toolbox stores and protects the technician's tools when not in use. The type and size of toolbox you purchase will depend on your budget and the amount of tools you own. Most technicians have a large, wheeled toolbox to which a second tool chest may be added. The large lower cabinet typically holds bulky, heavy tools, and the upper tool chest usually holds lighter, smaller tools. Toolbox organization. Related tools are normally kept in the same toolbox drawer. For example, various hammers may be stored in one drawer and screwdrivers in another. To prevent damage, small or delicate tools should not be kept with large, heavy tools. Tool holders help organize small tools. These include small clips, magnetic racks, cloth or plastic pouches, and socket trays. They protect tools and help keep them organized. Warning: never open several toolbox drawers at one time. If you do, the heavy toolbox might flip over. Serious injury or death can result because a full toolbox can weigh over 2,000 pounds, or 907 kilograms. Close each drawer before opening the next to avoid injury or death. Wrenches. Wrenches are commonly used to install and remove nuts and bolts. Wrench size is determined by measuring across the wrench jaws. Refer to Figure 3-2. Wrenches come in both conventional, inch, and metric millimeter sizes. The size is stamped on the side of the wrench. Here are a few wrench rules to follow. Always select the correct size wrench. It must fit the bolt head snugly. A loose-fitting wrench will round off the corners of the bolt head. Never hammer on a standard wrench to break loose a bolt or large nut. Use a longer wrench or a special slug wrench. A longer wrench will provide more leverage. When possible, pull on the wrench. Then, if the wrench slips, you are less likely to hurt your hand. If you must push, use the palm of your hand and keep your fingers open. Never use a steel bar or pipe to increase the length of a wrench for leverage. Excess force can bend or break the wrench. If a chemical rust penetrant does not work, heat rusted or frozen fasteners with a gas torch to loosen the threads. Open-end wrenches. An open-end wrench has an open or split jaw on both ends. Each end is a different size and set at an angle. Figure 3-3A. This angle allows the open-end wrench to turn bolts and nuts with little wrench swing space. The wrench can be turned over after each swing to get a new hold on the bolt head. An open-end wrench has weak jaws. It should not be used on extremely tight nuts or bolts. Its jaws will flex outward and round off the bolt head if too much torque is applied. Box end wrenches. Box end wrenches are completely closed on both ends. They fully surround and grip the head of a bolt or nut. Figure 3-3B. A box end wrench will not round off bolt heads as easily as an open end wrench. Box end wrenches are available with either 6 or 12-point openings. A 6-point opening is the strongest configuration. It should be used on extremely light, rusted, or partially rounded bolt or nut heads. Combination wrenches. A combination wrench has a box end on one end and an open end on the other. Figure 3-3C. Both ends are usually the same size. A combination wrench provides the advantage of two types of wrenches for the price of one. Line wrenches. A line wrench is a box end wrench with a small opening, or split, in the jaw. Figure 3-3D. The opening allows the wrench to be slipped over fuel lines, brake lines, or power steering lines and onto the fitting nut. A line wrench prevents damage to soft tube fittings. A line wrench may also be called a flare nut wrench or tubing wrench. Ratcheting wrenches. A ratcheting wrench has a gear and lever mechanism so that wrench can be moved back and forth for fastener installation or removal. Most ratcheting wrenches come with ends that are the same size, with an open end and one closed end. See Figure 3-3E. Socket wrenches. A socket wrench consists of a socket and a socket handle. A socket is a cylinder-shaped box-end tool for removing or installing bolts and nuts. See Figure 3-4. One end fits over the fastener and the other end has a square opening that fits on a socket handle. The socket handle provides leverage to turn the socket and fastener. A socket's drive size is the size of the square opening for the ratchet or tool handle. As pictured in Figure 3-5, sockets come in 4 drive sizes: 1/4 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch, 1/2 an inch, and 3/4 of an inch. When a small drive size is used on large or tight fasteners, the socket or handle can be broken. A large drive may be too awkward for small nuts and bolt heads. Follow these recommendations. Generally, a 1/4 inch drive should be used on bolt and nut heads 1/4 inch, 6 millimeters and smaller. A 3/8 inch drive is adequate on bolt head and nut sizes between 1/4 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch, 6 millimeters, up to 5/8 of an inch, 16 millimeters. A half inch drive is strong enough to handle bolt or nut heads from 5/8 of an inch, 16 millimeters, to 1 inch, 25 millimeters. A 3/4 of an inch drive is for bolts and nuts with a head size larger than 1 inch, 25 millimeters. Sockets commonly come in 6-point and 12-point configurations. A 6-point socket is required when a bolt is very tight and you do not want to round off and strip the bolt head flats. Impact sockets are available only with 6-point sockets. A 12-point socket is handy for smaller fasteners that are not rusted or bound up and require little torque. Socket handles. Socket handles fit into the square opening on the top of the socket, figure 3-6. Like a ratcheting wrench, a ratchet handle has a gear and lever mechanism so the wrench can be moved back and forth for rapid fastener installation or removal. The ratchet handle can often be used to remove fasteners in obstructed areas without having to reposition the handle. Ratchet handles can be short for tight quarters or long to apply more torque to stubborn nuts and bolts. A flex bar is the strongest socket handle and it provides the most leverage. It should be used when breaking loose, large, or extremely tight bolts and nuts. A flex bar is commonly referred to as a breaker bar. An extension fits between a socket and its handle. See figure 3-7a. It allows access to difficult-to-reach fasteners. Handle extensions come in various lengths. A universal joint tool is a swivel that lets the socket wrench reach around obstructions. Figure 3-7b. It is used between the socket and handle, with or without an extension. Avoid putting too much bend into a universal joint, or it may bind and break. Other wrench types. An adjustable wrench, or crescent wrench, has jaws that can be set to fit different size bolt and nut heads. It should be used only when other type wrenches will not fit. Adjustable wrenches can loosen and round off fasteners during use. It is like having a full set of open-end wrenches. An Allen wrench is a hexagonal, 6-sided, shaft-type wrench. It is used to turn set screws on pulleys, gears, and knobs. To prevent damage, make sure the Allen wrench is fully inserted into the fastener before turning. See figure 3-8 for an assortment of wrenches. Screwdrivers. Screwdrivers are used to remove or install screws. Each type of screwdriver is made for a specific type of screw head. See figure 3-9. A standard screwdriver, for example, has a single blade that fits into a slot in the screw head. A Phillips screwdriver has 2 crossing blades that fit into a star-shaped screw slot. Torx and clutch type screwdrivers are used to remove and install Torx screws. Standard Torx screws have a 6-point star-shaped indentation. Torx screws can be rotated with a great deal of force, or torque, without damaging the head. Offset and stubby screwdrivers are good in tight places, figures 3-10a and 3-10b. For example, a stubby screwdriver is useful for loosening screws inside a glove box. When you are using a starting screwdriver, hold the screw securely until it has begun threading in its hole. Starting screwdrivers are handy when you cannot start a screw with your fingers. See figure 3-10c. When selecting a screwdriver, pick one that is wide and thick enough to fill the screw head. When a screwdriver is too large or too small, damage to the screwdriver or screw may occur. Only heavy-duty screwdrivers with a full shank extending through the handle can withstand light hammering and prying. A scratch-awl looks like a screwdriver, but it has a sharp, pointed tip. It is used for marking sheet metal and other parts. Pliers. Pliers are used to grip, cut, crimp, hold, and bend various parts. Different pliers are helpful for different situations. Never use pliers when another type of tool will work. Pliers can nick and scar a part. Combination pliers or slip joint pliers are the most common pliers used by automotive technicians. The slip joint allows the jaws to be adjusted to grasp different size parts. Figure 3-11a. Rib joint pliers open wide for holding very large objects. Figure 3-11b. Rib joint pliers may also be called channel lock pliers or tongue and groove pliers. Needle nose pliers are excellent for handling extremely small parts to reaching into restricted areas. Figure 3-11C. Do not twist too hard on needle nose pliers or the long thin jaws may bend. Diagonal cutting pliers are the most commonly used. Figure 3-11D. Their jaw shape allows them to cut items flush with an adjacent surface. Diagonal cutting pliers are often used to cut cotter pins, wires, and plastic ties. Snap ring pliers have pointed tips for installing and removing special metal clips. Figure 3-11E. Locking pliers or vice grips clamp onto and hold apart. Figure 3-11F. This frees both hands to do other tasks. Because of their clamping power, vice grips can be used to unscrew fasteners with stripped or rounded heads. However, they should never be used on undamaged nuts or bolts. Hammers. Various types of hammers are used for operations that involve striking a part. Several hammers are shown in Figure 3-12. The following are some general rules governing hammer use. Select the right size hammer. When a large part is struck by a small hammer, the hammer can fly backward dangerously. If the hammer is too large, however, it may damage the part. Always check that the head is tight on its handle. If you do not check the head regularly, the head may fly off and cause injury or damage. Use a brass, plastic, or dead blow hammer on parts and tools that can be damaged by a steel hammer. Use a steel hammer only when maximum driving force is required. Grasp the hammer near the end of the handle and strike the part or tool squarely. A ball peen hammer is the most common type of hammer used in an automotive work. It has a flat face for general striking. It also has a round end for shaping metal parts, such as sheet metal or rivet heads. A sledgehammer has a very large head. It is usually the heaviest hammer and produces powerful blows. A sledgehammer is sometimes used to free frozen parts. The brass hammer has a soft, heavy head and is useful when scarring the surface of a part must be avoided. The relatively soft head deforms to protect the part surface from damage. A plastic hammer is light and has a soft head. It is used where light blows are needed on small and delicate parts. A rubber mallet has a head made of solid rubber. It will rebound or bounce upon striking. It is used on many sheet metal or plastic parts, such as plastic or sheet metal wheel covers. The head of a dead blow hammer is filled with lead shot. The weight of the lead shot prevents the hammer from rebounding when striking. Some dead blow hammers have plastic coated faces, which help prevent damage to the work surface. Punches and chisels. Punches are metal tools used to mark parts, begin holes for drilling, drive parts from holes, and to line up parts during assembly. Chisels are metal tools used primarily for cutting off damaged or badly rusted nuts, bolts, and rivet heads. There are various chisel shapes. Use common sense when selecting a chisel shape. Punch and chisel types include the following. A center punch, Figure 3-13A, is frequently used to mark parts for reassembly and to start a hole before drilling. A line-up or lining punch, Figure 3-13B, has a long tapered shaft and is handy for lining up parts during assembly. An aligning punch can be inserted into holes in mating parts and then wiggled to match up the holes. A cape chisel, Figure 3-13C, is used to cut off damaged or badly rusted fastener heads. It may also be used to cut keyways or slots. A starting or starter punch, Figure 3-13D, is strong and can withstand moderate blows. It is used to drive pins, shafts, and metal rods part way out of a hole. It may also be referred to as a drift punch. A pin punch has a straight shank and is lighter than a starting punch. It is used after a starting punch to push a shaft or rod the rest of the way out of a hole. Flat chisels, figure 3-13E, are used to cut off damaged fasteners, reduce surfaces, and to cut sheet metal that is too thick to cut with tin snips. Using chisels and punches safely. Remember the following rules when using chisels and punches. Always wear eye protection when using or grinding a chisel or punch. Use the largest punch or chisel that will work. When a small punch is used on a very large part, the punch can rebound with tremendous force. The same is true for chisels. Keep both ends of a chisel or punch properly ground and shaped. A chisel's cutting edge should be sharp and square. A starting punch or a pin punch should also be ground flat and square. A center punch should have a sharp point, figure 3-14, after prolonged hammering. After prolonged hammering, the top of a chisel or punch can become deformed and enlarged. This is called mushrooming. A mushroomed chisel or punch is dangerous. Grind the mushroom and form a chamfer. When grinding a chisel or punch, grind slowly to avoid overheating the tool. Excessive heat will cause the tool to turn blue, lose its temper, and become soft. Files. Files are used to remove burrs, nicks, and sharp edges and perform other smoothing operations. They are useful when only a small amount of material must be removed. Refer to figure 3-15. A file is classified by its length, shape, and cutting surface. Generally, a coarse file with large cutting teeth should be used on soft materials, such as plastic, brass, and aluminum. A fine file with small cutting teeth is used to produce a smoother surface and to cut harder materials, such as aluminum, cast iron, or steel. Using files safely. File safety rules that should be remembered and followed include the following. Always wear eye protection when using a file. Never use a file without a handle securely attached. When the file is used without a handle, the pointed tang can puncture your hand or wrist. To prevent undue file wear, apply pressure only on the forward stroke. Lift the file on the back stroke. Do not file too rapidly. One file stroke every second is fast enough. When a file becomes clogged, clean it with a file card or a stiff wire brush. Warning: never hammer on or pry with a file. A file is brittle and breaks easily. Bits of the file can shatter and fly into your face or eyes. Hacksaws. A hacksaw is used to cut metal objects. The blade teeth should point away from the handle, and the blade should be fastened tightly in the frame. Select the appropriate blade for the job. As a rule of thumb, at least 2 saw teeth should contact the material being cut at any given time. If the teeth are not in contact with the material, the teeth can catch and break. When cutting, place one hand on the hacksaw handle and the other hand on the end of the frame. Press down lightly on the forward stroke and release pressure on the back stroke, making about 1 cut per second so that the blade does not overheat, soften, and become dull. See figure 3-16. Holding tools. There are several different types of tools used for holding objects in the automotive shop. It is important that you know how to use each without part damage or injury to yourself or others. Vise. A vise is used to hold parts securely during cutting, drilling, hammering, and pressing operations. See figure 3-17. It is mounted on a workbench. Avoid clamping a smooth machined part in the uncovered jaws of a vise. When a machine surface is scarred, the part may be ruined. Vise caps or wood blocks should be used to prevent damage when mounting precision or delicate parts in a vise. Vise caps are soft metal, lead or aluminum, or plastic jaw covers. In addition to protecting the part, they can provide a secure grip on the part. Rules for using a vise include the following. Never hammer on a vise handle to tighten or loosen the vise. Use the weight of your body to turn the vise handle. Keep the moving parts of the vise clean and oiled. Wear safety glasses when using a vise. Tremendous clamping force can be exerted and parts may break and fly out. C-clamp. C-clamps are used to hold parts on a work surface when drilling, filing, cutting, welding, or performing other operations. C-clamps come in many different sizes. Stands and holding fixtures. Stands and holding fixtures are used to secure heavy or clumsy parts during repairs. Cylinder head stands, transmission fixtures, and other fixtures make it easier and safer to work on large components. Cleaning and scraping tools. There is an old saying, when you do the job right, you will spend most of your time cleaning parts. Dirt is a major enemy of a vehicle and your repairs. Cleaning tools, such as scrapers and brushes, help the technician remove carbon, rust, dirt, grease, old gaskets, and dried oil from parts. Figure 3-18. Scrapers remove grease, gaskets, sludge, dried oil, and carbon on flat parts. Wear work gloves and keep your other hand out of the way to avoid deep cuts. Brushes are used to remove light rust, paint, and dirt on round or irregular shaped parts. Brushes should be used only to remove heavy, flaky, chalky deposits from a part's curved surfaces. A round scuff pad in an air drill or small grinder is commonly used to clean off old gasket material and clean mating surfaces. A scuff pad has a synthetic plastic abrasive that cleans surfaces very quickly. Probe and pickup tools. Pickup tools are needed when bolts, nuts, or other small parts are dropped and cannot be reached by hand. Figure 3-19. A magnetic pickup tool is a permanent magnet hinged to the end of a rod. The rod can usually be shortened or lengthened and swiveled to reach into any area. When a ferrous, iron, metal part is dropped, it will be attracted and stick to the magnet. A finger pickup tool grasps non-magnetic parts, aluminum, plastic, or rubber, which will not stick to a magnet. A mirror probe allows you to look around corners or behind parts when they are still on a vehicle. For example, a mirror probe will allow you to see an oil leak behind the engine. Cutting tools. Various cutting tools are needed to open part boxes, cut hoses, and to do similar tasks. Common cutting tools include utility knives and hacksaws. Pry bars. Pry bars are strong steel bars. They are helpful during numerous assembly, disassembly, and adjustment for operations. They are also used to align heavy parts. When prying, always be careful not to damage any part of the vehicle. Insulated tools. Insulated tools designed to protect against electric shock and electrocution when working on high voltage hybrid and electric vehicle drivetrains must be rated for use on voltages up to 1000 volts AC minimum. Warning. Conventional insulated steel tools must never be used in place of insulated tools designed specifically for servicing the high voltage systems found in hybrid and electric vehicles. A conventional steel wrench or ratchet with a rubber or plastic handle will have thin insulation that is not designed for use with high voltages. You could also touch the metal on the tool handle and be electrocuted. Some insulated tools are made of steel and coated with plastic to prevent electricity from flowing through the tool and your body. Other insulated tools are made entirely of a non-conductive material such as a plastic, graphite, or carbon fiber. These tools provide the highest degree of protection against electrocution. In some cases, only the tip or head of the tool is made of conductive hardened steel and the rest of the tool is made of plastic or graphite or carbon fiber. See Figure 3-20. Workplace skills. Individuals and society as a whole regard ethical behavior as highly important. Ethical behavior on the job means conforming to accepted standards of fairness and good conduct. Ethical behavior is based on a person's sense of what is right to do and extends beyond the spoken word or action. In the following scenario, you are working as a porter at a high-end dealership. How would you respond in the following situations? Be prepared to justify your answers and explain your behavior. You find a $50 bill under the driver's seat while performing detail work with a coworker on a customer's vehicle. What would you do with the money if you were working alone and no one knew you found it? Your coworker suggests you split the money. After all, the customer is wealthy and will not miss a mere $50. What do your answers say about your values? Would your answers be different if it were only $5? Summary. It is almost impossible to do even the simplest auto repair without using some type of tool. Professional auto technicians invest thousands of dollars in tools. A well-selected set of tools will speed up repairs, improve work quality, and increase profits. Purchase quality tools. Quality tools are lighter, stronger, easier to use, and more dependable than off-brand or bargain tools. Keep tools organized. There should be a place for every tool, and every tool should be in its place. Use the right tool for the job. A good technician will know when, where, and why a particular tool will work better than another tool. Insulated wrenches have a plastic or carbon fiber shank with metal ends. They are required when working on high-voltage hybrid drivetrain components. ASE type questions. A bolt head is badly rusted and is difficult to loosen. Technician A says to use a pair of pliers to loosen the rusted bolt. Technician B recommends a 6-point wrench or socket. Who is right? A only, B only, both A and B, neither A nor B. Number 2. Which of the following is not a common socket drive size? 1/4 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch, 5/8 of an inch, or 1/2 inch. 3. The socket handle that has a gear and lever mechanism that allows it to be moved back and forth for rapid fastener removal or installation is the ratchet handle, flex bar, breaker bar, speed handle. Number 4. Which of the following is a swivel that lets the socket wrench reach around obstructions? Extension, hand spinner, flexible driver, universal joint. Number 5. Which type of screwdriver is especially good to use in tight spaces? Torx, stubby, Phillips, or clutch head? Number 6. Pliers are used on various parts to do each of these except cut, grip, bend, screw. Number 7. Which type of pliers open extra wide to hold very large objects? Rib joint, locking, slip joint, all of the above. Number 8. The heaviest kind of hammer is a lead, brass, sledge, dead blow. Number 9. Which punch configuration is used to mark parts for Which punch configuration is used to mark parts for reassembly or to start a drilled hole? Center, aligning, tapered, diamond. Number 10. Technician A says that it is not safe to use conventional tools when working on high voltage systems. Technician B says that high voltage pliers have insulation to prevent electric shock from spark plug wires. Who is right? A only, B only, both A and B, or neither A or B.